shot in regulation.
Right. Reaves, here he goes, Reaves to James, kick it, corner, Rui the winner to win the game!
So this was the main story the other night. LeBron making the right decision to hit the open man for the game winner at the buzzer, but I'm more interested in this assist in the third quarter since it set up none other than Ausitn Reaves. Lost in the headlines and huge celebration on the court after the game was that with Luka Doncic out, Ausitn Reaves lit the Toronto Raptors up to the tune of 44 points and 10 assists. And this isn't a rare occurrence, as he's had 6 other games over 30 points and a 50-piece against the Kings. You might not remember, but this is a guy who wasn't even drafted coming out of college in 2021. My question is, how the heck did we miss it? What was happening in Oklahoma that led scouts to believe he wasn't a top pick? I mean, if you redid the 2021 NBA draft, he's getting picked in the top 3 or 4, right? Well, I went back into the footage to figure that out while comparing that to what we saw last night, so let's get to it. 3-point shooting is a top-line stat, and he went 5 for 11 last night on a variety of shots, both catch and shoot and off the dribble. What's interesting about Reaves is that he started out at Wichita State shooting them well. He was the lights-out, knockdown floor spacer, and one reason was because 60% of them were catch and shoot. But he also utilized the hop way more often than he has since. It's unclear why he went away from lifting both feet in the air before propelling them down with one sound into the floor for a very springy jump and great rhythm up into the release. By the time he was an elderly 22-year-old senior at Oklahoma, he didn't hop much and took most of his threes as heavily contested off the dribble, hitting only 27% of them. That said, he was at 42% on catch and shoots, so the ability was still there. And though he struggled early in his NBA career to adjust to the speed and length of NBA defenders, he quickly got to the level of league average 3-point shooter as he's ramped up his attempts year over year. He started out off a called play to set him a double staggered pin down while LeBron posted up. This drew the attention of any potential help defenders, who didn't realize until it was too late that Reaves was wide open on the left wing shot. At Oklahoma, he didn't get a ton of spot-ups off skip passes since he was the primary ball handler, but we can see the time between his right foot plant and the knees straightening into the jump is quick, so the rhythm is good, the shot is effortless, and he drops it in perfectly. As long as Luka isn't on the court, there is no doubt that he is him, so you'll see plenty of times where he'll just bring it up, do his patented behind-the-back dribble, and then, without passing the ball, find his own shot and knock it down. And he was doing the same thing at Oklahoma as well, but scouts shouldn't have ignored that a 6'5 guard without elite explosiveness could command this type of role on a team that was ranked in the top 20 and going up against a lot of talent every game they played. The only issue he had was with his rhythm, which wound up as a 2-motion shot some of the time, and that leads to inconsistency. On this no-pass possession for him against Iowa State, you'll see him navigate the ball screen and utilize the hop, which has optimal rhythm built in, and the ball drops straight through the hoop. Meanwhile, in the third quarter, he does another no-pass possession with his team clinging to a small lead and LeBron perfectly willing to wait on that right wing and watch the action unfold. He uses the traditional right-left footwork going to his left, which is an easier shot for righties since the shooting hip and elbow are more naturally aligned to the basket, and the foolish drop coverage leads to a practice shot. If we measure from the moment his right foot plants on this flare action to the top, we see there are only 5 frames of video until his knees begin straightening. This is the key to unlocking power, and it's why he can smoothly and effortlessly knock this down from 5 feet behind the line. At Oklahoma, we could see examples where the time it took those knees to straighten was several frames longer, sapping the power from his shot and forcing his arms to do more work to get the ball to the rim, which will lead to off-target shots. The question coming out of college was, would he figure this out at the NBA level? The answer is not quite clear, as he will still take longer on these releases, and it's the primary reason why he hasn't gotten to an elite level of 40% or higher. And his last 3 was something we didn't really see at Oklahoma, the FU 3 pulling from 10 feet behind the line to retake the lead. One key is that he floats the dribble into a dip to generate that power and has plenty of distance on it as it goes back rim and down. His floater game is excellent, and he is great at keeping defenders off balance and wary of committing fouls on him, which we'll get to in a minute. Remember, he gets his legal 2 steps after the gather, and there's no real time limit to how long he can take with those steps, as long as he's not in the lane for more than 3 seconds. The Lakers are more than happy to spread the floor and let him dominate the possession in the exact same way Luka does, knowing he can be just as effective, if not more, as he uses his right shoulder to ward off the defender before displaying soft touch on the shooter's roll. And here's another example of using the fear of fouling him as he's completely in control, tries to get his defender in jail before releasing into a 1-foot drifting shot that also softly rolls in off the rim. The one thing you can assume improvement on with more time to develop under NBA training is the floater game. And it's the same kind of improvement you can get by learning from my videos and then playing Prize Picks, where all you have to do is pick more or less in a variety of categories for a ton of different sports. It's the only app that offers stacks, where you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Here are my picks for today. I've got Johnson and Alexander Walker doing real damage against the poor Wizards defense by choosing more on points for NAW and PRA for Johnson, with Kawhi not doing so well with his PRA against Minnie. Follow me on the app so you can just copy my lineups, something you'll benefit from during basketball season. Best of all, download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Back in college, Reaves definitely had the same kind of dribbling ability as he does now to get advantages on his man and then let these floaters fly off 1 foot. And one thing is for sure, he spent a lot of time battling through contact, as defenders could cut him off and he had a good progression to his package, quick pulling this 1-footed shot with a little fade and a lot of arc just to get it off, and more soft touch to coax it down. But I'm sure scouts saw possessions like this against a future NBA defender in Jericho Sims and figured he'd be outmatched on every possession. And while it was commendable that he could be slippery and consistently get 2 feet in the paint, there was plenty of evidence of finishes like this to make you wonder. Another thing I noticed, however, was that the refs in college seem to allow a lot more contact on his drives than they do in the NBA. It was a little startling to see a bunch of these clips where the refs were letting them play, and the trick for an NBA scout would have been to extrapolate these to NBA courts and refs and figure out that he'd get those calls. And get those calls, he does. This was Spain pick and roll as they send LeBron from the weak side corner up to backscreen the ball screener's man, which made this a bit messy, but watch how he extends the last step with his left foot to create contact with the defender and get the foul call. He drove Colin Murray-Boyles a little crazy in this game as they forced him to switch onto Reaves and let him go to work. Excellent defense to cut him off twice and absorb contact while in legal guarding position, but with the shot clock winding down, Reaves has no choice but to keep working on him. The clever shot fake gets him in the air, and that's illegal contact on the shot. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they let Reaves go at him one more time. There's the patented behind the back dribble, which is a great way to attack since you don't have to turn your body away from the hoop to change directions. But they catch Boyles with hip-to-hip contact that bumps Reaves enough that they give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm preparing another video about unethical hoops, and this one could be construed by fans as an example of it, as he attacks middle and then gathers full speed off the right foot to shoot this shot just as the defender is sliding and trying to run parallel to him. He's a grizzled veteran at this point and has learned all the tricks. Notice how he uses a bent armbar to the midsection to help his defender lose his balance. He's not extending the arm for an offensive foul, so the refs can't call it, but now he uses the shot fake to get him out of legal guarding position, and the quick pull earns him legit free throws. And it's that clever shot fake that we saw at Oklahoma as well, a good coping mechanism for all the athletic defenders that were hell-bent on getting into his body and shutting him down, and he's using their aggressiveness against them to finish at the hoop with defenders not wanting to foul. And he was at it again versus Toronto, driving Boyles crazy, this time after more good defense to cut him off, but there's the gorgeous shot fake and step back footwork, which leads to the step through. One thing that must have shocked NBA players is how good his handle is. I think early in his career, guys assumed they could just meet him out in the perimeter, give him some physical defense and pressure, and they just take the ball from him. But he would continually punish them with some ball handling trickery and force them to foul him. The lack of adjustment was startling, but now we'll see defenders who have to give him space like we see here, and he just takes advantage with the little tween into the middle, splits the defenders, and then jumps off the right foot with the right hand finish soft off the glass. The second most crucial bucket came with 42 seconds left when the Lakers were down by 2 and needed to get the best shot they could as quickly as they could get it. It's another off-foot attempt, this time on the right side of the hoop as he twists and hangs to avoid the block and shoot it on the way down. And wouldn't you know it, This was a shot he developed back in college, where he'd used the same principles to get it off around and over taller, longer, and more athletic players. So this shouldn't have been too much of a surprise that he's found success in the ultra-fast, wide-open, modern NBA. It was impressive that he was able to control his own destiny. The Pistons wanted to draft him, but he was able to manipulate them as well as he manipulates his defenders in every game.
You kind of respectfully passed on a few teams because you guys had a game plan. Explain what that game plan was.
We could have got drafted 42nd to Detroit, but kind of declined that to kind of put me in LA for a better spot. Basically, we tiered teams, best fit for me. And LA was, I think, 2 on the list at the time. Milwaukee might have been 1, but we knew that there was a high interest for a 2-way, so we didn't really have to press. And that's what everything in the draft would have been from 42 and on, would have been basically a 2-way agreement. So I didn't really have to hear my name called either. I mean, obviously I wanted to, but it was all about, playing the long game. All I needed was an opportunity, and I knew that. I knew what I was capable of doing, the skill set, IQ.
Make no mistake, Ausitn Reaves is a legitimate all-star and should make the All-NBA team this year based on his performance. And he takes it up a notch when Luka isn't on the floor alongside him. He has the same usage as Luka does in these lineups with an obscene 60.9% effective field goal percentage. And we didn't even get into his passing ability, which might not be considered elite, but when he runs pick and rolls, believe it or not, the pass is what he almost always looks for first. And this makes him even harder to guard, as the defense can't quite figure out what he's going to do with the ball. And this is why it's hard for us to figure out how far the Lakers are going to go, since they're not good on the other end of the floor, but like I always say, defense, schmeefense.